Hello, and welcome to SoberCast, where we provide AA speaker meetings and workshops in podcast format. We're an ad-free podcast, and if you enjoy listening, please help us be self-supporting by visiting Sobercast.com, look for the donate link, and drop $1 or $2 into our virtual basket. We hope you enjoy the podcast. Have a great day.
Hi, I'm Reece. I'm an alcoholic. Hi. So my sobriety date is July 13th, 2009. For those of you who are bad at math as I am, it's 6 years. And I have a sponsor, and she has a sponsor, and I have a home group with three service positions. So what it was like. I grew up in Arizona, 2 parents, and they're still together, and 2 brothers, and I'm the middle child, middle child syndrome. My growing up never involved any alcohol. My parents never drank, and I never saw alcohol growing up. It was not a part of my story or my life until I was 12. So my parents were in the Jehovah's Witness religion, and it was a huge part of our life, and very, very, very restricted, very not fun. Just horrible. That limited like everything for me. It limited who I was friends with. It limited what I got to do after school, during school, on weekends. Just very, very, very confining to that religion and to home. So we were brought up with this God, with what to do every single minute of our lives. And then in home, there was a lot of abuse and a lot going on that did not follow along with those rules of the religion. So very early on, I had a huge hatred towards religion and God. And that's a huge part of my story today. So I just wanted to mention that I was very, very turned off and just wanted nothing to do with either religion or God. And so, as I said, I didn't drink until I was 12, and when I found alcohol, it was only because there was a party across the street where my parents had attended, like, a wedding. They were the one family that we were allowed to talk to that weren't in our religion, and there was a cooler full of, like, wine coolers and beer or whatnot, and for whatever reason, my dad let me have a sip of one. And again, there was never alcohol in the actual home, but they might have had a glass of wine out to dinner without me ever seeing it. I don't know. So my dad had this wine cooler, and he let me try a sip of it. And I remember that it was on a Sunday, and we were supposed to go to church that day. And I ended up taking a few of those wine coolers and dashed back to my room, and I didn't sip those things. Not at all. I downed them, and it was an absolute amazing feeling. So just backing up a little bit, before I was 12, I already had all the isms of alcoholism. I was stealing, I was lying, I was manipulating, I was doing whatever it took to get whatever I wanted, whether that was, cake or ice cream or candy, whatever it was, I manipulated my way through all of it. And I remember I would steal candy from my mom's room and lie and hide it under my brother's crib because they couldn't see that. But then I blamed my older brother on it. It was just, those were the isms that I had growing up. And so when I found alcohol, I was off to the races. And I just felt like, so all the abuse that I was dealing with in the home, mental, emotional, all slipped away when I first took those chugs of wine coolers. I was like Superwoman. Nobody could hurt me. Nobody could harm me. Nobody could say a single word to me that would affect me. And I just felt like I could fly. It was the most amazing experience I had as a 12-year-old. I was actually, for the first time in my life, happy. I was a loner in school. I cried all the time. Why would anybody want to hang out with me? And again, it was that, the middle child syndrome, I'm so weird, I have red hair, I'm in this crazy religion, like, why would I have friends? And then, I was just always so depressed and lonely. And that is a huge part of my growing up. I never really had those close friends that I could call, friends. So when I got to middle school, I found my friends. I found all the people who were ditching school, who weren't doing so well, were flunking out, were, hanging out in the alleyways during school. They were my people. And they were drinking, and they were using, and smoking cigarettes, and they were awesome. And I had a blast with those people. And I really learned how to lie with them. I really learned how to manipulate with them, and I really learned how to get whatever it was that I wanted with them. And I ended up moving from Arizona to Oregon. I had a lot of trouble at home, obviously. And I was shipped off to Oregon when I was about 15, and I lived with some family. My parents were trying to get me to come back to the religion, thinking that, if I go away, then maybe I'll come back the Reece that they raised. And that's when I fell in love with the Pacific Northwest, and I knew one day I would be back, but I would never go to Oregon because that's where family is. And and I relate everything to a state, not a city or a town. It's the whole state. They might be somewhere in that state. So I was living in near Oregon, somewhere in Oregon, and I couldn't drink, I couldn't smoke, I couldn't do anything else but live with my family there. And I just remember that hole that I was trying to fill and that emptiness that I felt because I couldn't get anything that I wanted. I couldn't manipulate, I couldn't lie, I couldn't steal in this area of my life. And I was there for 3 months, and it was living hell. I just couldn't stand it. And I ended up coming back to Arizona, and I was 16, and I moved out of my house. Never graduated school. I just did whatever I thought that I needed to do to survive. I had 3 jobs. I found my people again, and again, I was off to the races with the drinking, and really, really enjoying life. It was awesome. Then I did another geographical change where I knew that if I left Arizona, everything would be okay. So I ended up moving to Philadelphia. I didn't know anybody there. I had absolutely no real reason to be there. But I just knew that I needed to get away, and I needed a change of scenery and to get away from the group of people that I was, hanging out with. And in my heart, I knew I had another substance abuse problem, but never alcohol. I never wanted to quit drinking, but I wanted to quit these other substances for whatever reason. And that was really easy for me. The moment I woke up and I said, I don't want to do this anymore, it worked. But that never, ever, ever occurred with drinking. When I moved to Philadelphia, it was a lot of that, in and out of relationships, in and out of jobs. And I am one that never, ever lost a job because of my drinking. I just had multiple jobs, and I would quit before they fired me. But I was always a hard worker. I was always doing everything I needed to do to provide for myself that alcohol and whatever I needed to do to live, which was basically drink. So always had money in my account for the alcohol. And I always remember that feeling of just searching, and looking for something to fill that hole. Again, I didn't grow up with a whole lot of love in my family, and I was always looking for that from others. So whether it was a relationship or a new job, whatever it was, I was always looking for that. And I, again, would never, ever, ever consider God or religion in my life. People would talk to me about that, and I just ran the other way. And all the people that I ever hung out with drank just like I did. You weren't my friend unless you were just like me. I know of many people that if I saw how they drank normally, I would never call them again. I would never hang out with them because they weren't like me, and there was something wrong with them. They couldn't finish a whole glass of wine. I didn't understand that at all. And I lived my life just trying to fill this empty hole and just, again, searching for something, whatever that was. I wasn't quite sure. And I ended up having a DUI. I was pulled over a block away from my house, and that didn't stop me from drinking. I remember taking that test that Matthew mentioned, and of course I lied through the whole thing. I was never even honest with myself. I could never be honest with you, anybody. And I hated everything. I hated life. I hated people. I hated everything that I was doing. I hated everyone around me. I just was so full of anger and hate and disgust, and I really didn't care what happened to me. So I didn't care that I got pulled over. I didn't care that I was taken into, custody. I didn't care that I had to, have my partner wake up with her 3 kids in bed and come and pick me up. I didn't care about anything. I didn't care, if I ended up dying from this disease. I had nothing to live for. I had absolutely nothing to be grateful for, happy for, appreciate, nothing. I was very empty inside. And that's just how I lived. If I did not black out from drinking, I did not have a good night. It was not fun. And I remember always waking up saying, oh, what happened last night? Do I really want to know? Nah. And I remember always having to ask people, what happened? And it got really old. And I started losing friends because of that. And just the damage that I did to other people, really came into play near the end of my drinking, and I had never noticed it. I never, again, cared. I didn't care. So I ended up getting a second DUI. This is close to 30 years of age, and I know I look really young. I ended up driving in a blackout, of course. That's just what I did. And I ended up hitting somebody head on. And before this incident, there was only one person in my life that ever mentioned anything about me having a problem. And I just really shrugged it off. And it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't even like to drink. And so I totally blew that off, and it was, of nothing, no value to me. And so I ended up getting in this car accident, hit somebody head on, and they tried to avoid it, and I was just completely out of it. I had no idea what was going on, and I ended up breaking my neck, and luckily I did not hurt that individual. Very, very grateful for that today. But when I'm in the hospital, somebody came into my room and said, Reece, you're going to end up killing somebody, or you're going to end up killing yourself. And of course I said, you're right, I'm going to get help. I'm going to look, for something when I get out of this hospital. And I didn't. I kept drinking. That was February 2009, actually Valentine's Day 2009. And my sobriety date is July 13th. So it took me a few months to get this thing and to get into these rooms. But prior to my sobriety date, I did try. I tried to get sober. Somebody mentioned that if I went to rehab that I would stay out of jail. Hey, that sounds awesome. I want to stay out of jail, so I will do outpatient. I'm too good for inpatient. I have a dog to take care of at home. She needs me. So I did the outpatient, and I actually did everything that was told, that I was told. I got a sponsor. I did the steps. I went to meetings. I did everything that you guys told me to do. But I wasn't willing, and I wasn't honest, and I didn't want this thing. I kept thinking that the more I would come to meetings, the more I would learn how to drink for real and not get in trouble. So for 4 months, in and out of these rooms, I would lie about my time. I would lie about my drinking. I would go home and use non-alcoholic substances. And again, I don't care. I really don't care what happens to me, except I don't want to go to jail. So I didn't care about dying, but I don't want to go to jail. That's the alcoholic mind, right? So I ended up going out for 2 weeks straight without calling sponsor, going to meeting, doing steps, and it was actually at the 4th step. I absolutely wanted nothing to do with looking at how I had harmed others, because that list was just way too extensive for me to sit down and write it down. And so I went out. I relapsed, and I was out there for a while, and I ended up getting to that point where I was in my own little black hole of self-pity, self-hate, and I was ready to off myself. I didn't know how, and I was too afraid to do all sorts of different things. And so my best option was to see my therapist that I had been seeing for 4 years, and she thought I had bipolar and all sorts of crazy stuff, and kept trying new medications, and nothing was working. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. So I went to my therapist, and I told her to commit me. Like, this was it. I can't live anymore. I can't be surrounded by people. I don't even want to be around myself. Like, I just want to die. So please commit me. And we spent an hour together talking about why. Why did I want to kill myself? And we talked about my use and my drinking. And it was the very first time in my life that I had ever been honest. And I'm sorry, I always get choked up at this point. It was the first time I was honest with another individual. And she looked at me and said, "Reece, just go to a meeting." And I was angry. I was like, "What do you mean, go to a meeting? I'm telling you I'm going to kill myself, and you want me to go to freaking AA." And I'm very, very grateful to say that woman saved my life, and that is my sobriety date. I went to a meeting that night, and I never sat in the front row, always in the back so I could run out quicker. And I never raised my hand, and I never shared, and again, I was never honest. And that day I said, "I'm Reece, I'm an alcoholic, and I'm here to stay." And that's all I could get out, because the tears were just flowing. And I knew at that moment that I had surrendered. I knew at that moment that I wanted what you guys were all talking about. I knew that I wanted happiness, and I wanted to care about you just as much as you cared about me. I wanted something. And that hole that I was trying to fill was, yes, happiness, but it was a higher power. It was the fellowship. It was this program. It was sobriety. And thank God that I have found that today. So going back with, the whole religion God thing that just deterred me from coming into these rooms too. I saw God in the steps, and you guys were talking about this higher power, and I was like, that's not for me. I'm going to do all the steps that don't say God in them. And, yeah. So, I remember one time in rehab, the counselor said, on one side of a piece of paper, write down what you've been told about God, what your parents have told you, what religions told you, and then on the other side, write about what you think God is, what you feel God is, just your ideas. And at the end of that exercise, we ripped it down the middle, and the counselor said, throw that first side away. It's all about what you think God is, and it's what you feel He, she is, whatever you want to call it. Higher power, spirit, doesn't matter. It's what you feel and what you believe. And that completely changed everything for me. The fact that I had a choice to figure this thing out, whatever it was, and today I call him God. But the fact that I had a choice to do that meant everything in the world for me, because I didn't have many choices. And I started working with a sponsor, and I started working these steps. And it absolutely changed every single piece of my life. I will take any bad day of sobriety before any good day of out there drinking, or good day out there drinking. I have come a very, very, very long way, all the way across the country, from Philadelphia. I was always, fulfilling these dreams that I thought I had, and that was just sitting on a bar stool. The dreams I had was just to meet more people and to go and be adventurous and travel, and I just talked about it, right? It was just talk on a bar stool. And now today I'm actually living those. If I say I want to do something, I do it. If I say I am going to do something, I do it. So it was a goal of mine to move here to Seattle. Like I said, I knew I love the Pacific Northwest, but I wasn't moving to Oregon. family was there, so Seattle was next, and it was a very long, long road to get here. I started packing before I had a job. I had packed up all the books on my shelf and all the stuff hanging on my walls. I knew I wanted to be here more than anything in the world. And I said a lot of no's to life and a lot of no's to AA, and I stopped working with my sponsor because I'm going to be moving. And I didn't get a sponsor because I'm going to be moving. And I said no to everything. And I was saying no to meetings, and I was only going once a week because it was just what I did. And I got to another point, and this is just last year, I got to another point where I was very, very depressed. I wonder why. I wasn't doing any of the things that I knew to do. I wasn't following any of the rules and following the tools of this program. And I got to a point where, again, I needed to see a therapist. And she said to me, Reece, what do you have in Philadelphia? Nothing. I hate it here. I have no friends. I've been single forever. I hate my job. They just promoted me and I want to leave. Like, I hate this place. And then she said, well, what do you have in Seattle? And I said, nothing. I have nothing in Seattle. And it was all about, you go where you go and live your life where you're living it now. So that wherever you want to go, wherever your dreams are, you can be happy going and following those dreams. And I started saying yes to life again. And I started working with a sponsor who's now my very best friend in Philadelphia. And I started saying yes and started dating. And I started saying yes and I signed up for classes. And then a miracle happened. I got a job out here. And I was able to move out here with a smile on my face, very grateful for my life, very grateful for this program, and to do it all without trying to run here, trying to run away from something. I came here because it's God's will. When I got out of my way, that's when things started happening. When I let my higher power come into my life, things started happening. And that's the biggest gift I've been given thus far, besides sobriety, is that I learned to just get the heck out of the way. When I'm forcing things, when I'm fighting, nothing's going to happen the way I want them to. But when I let them go and just turn it over to my higher power and just say, you know what, I'm done. You've got this. Things will happen. And it's not the way I want it to. It totally does not look the way I want it to. And it's been tough moving here. But I'm very, very, very grateful for what I've been given today, for what I have today. And this program has been absolutely amazing. Here in Seattle, this group has taken me on like a family member. I have a home group where I have 3 service positions, and I feel like a family member. I don't have to search anymore for that love and filling that hole, because I have it. I have it right here in AA. And I used to travel a whole lot with my other job. And everywhere I traveled, I went to an AA meeting. And I've met people all around this country, and it's just been absolutely amazing and a beautiful experience. And I, again, wouldn't change this for anything. I would never, ever take it back. I would never want to go back to being the person that I was before. I have like 7 minutes left, so I just want to say thank you all for being here tonight. And I want to end with this. So sorry, I'll be ending a little early. So this is a little, I like to say it's a gift from the Pennsylvania Intergroup, and it's called Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. There are 2 days in every week about which we should not worry, 2 days which should be kept free from fear and apprehension. One of these days is yesterday, with its mistakes and cares, its fault and blunders, its aches and pains. Yesterday has passed forever beyond our control. All the money in the world cannot bring back yesterday. We cannot undo a single act we performed. We cannot erase a single word we said. Yesterday is gone. The other day we should not worry about is tomorrow, with its possible adversaries, its burdens, its large promise, and poor performance. Tomorrow is also beyond our immediate control. Tomorrow's sun will rise, either in splendor or behind a mask of clouds, but it will rise. Until it does, we have no stake in tomorrow, for it is as yet unborn. This leaves only one day, today. Any man can fight the battle of just one day. It is only when you and I add the burdens of these two awful entities yesterday and tomorrow that we break down. It is not the experience of today that drives men or women mad. It is remorse or bitterness for something which happened yesterday and the dread of what tomorrow may bring. Let us therefore live but one day at a time. Thank you for letting me share.
All right. My name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic and a drunk driver and a bunch of other stuff. My sobriety date is today, New Year's Day, 1990. So 27 today. And I did not do that by myself. I did not do that by myself. I was on the phone a lot today talking to people, and I talked to my sponsor today, and I told him I was going to be doing this tonight. And, he has this nickname for me that I can't really talk about from the podium because we don't curse here. But, he's my sponsor is still in Santa Cruz. He's about 6'8", and he has a very large head. And I have a very big head, too. So he's a stop sign head, MF, and I'm the other stop sign head, MF. That's our name for each other. So whenever I call him on the phone, he's just like, so what up, stop sign, head, mother. And so I just tell him what's up. And so I'm very grateful that he's my sponsor, and I got the kind of sponsorship that I did. And, what we do here is we trust God, we clean house, we help others. Your mileage may vary, but that's what we do, And so in a general way, what it used to be like, what happened, what it's like now, I'm going to do that. And so I wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? Here you go. So here's the deal. So I was born in Southern California. I'm number 2 of 6 kids. I did not have my first drink until very, very late in my neighborhood. I grew up in... I was born in East L.A., but grew up in this little town called La Puente, and a lot of my friends were drinking in elementary school and junior high and all that. And I was a Boy Scout. I was a Sunday school teacher. I sang in the church choir. I was pretty much a straight-A student. I was a really good student. I was an athlete. I was student body president at my high school. I was the guy that drove you home after parties and after football games because I was the designated driver early on. And I did not drink or use drugs or any of that because I was a good kid. And here's what happened. So I tell you, the reason why I didn't do that is like my church had these people from Teen Challenge come and talk to us one day. And these dudes were out of Chino prison. They were hardcore. And they says, don't do what we did because you'll get like this. And I said, cool. Not doing that. So they didn't go in a lot of detail what they did. I just says, don't do what we did. I said, okay, cool, I won't do that. And I didn't. So there was, I'll just kind of fast forward. There was my first drink was what happened the last week of school. It was Baccalaureate Sunday. It was June 7th, 1976. People have heard me tell my story. I'm freakish about this. I know the date and time of my first drink, and I know the date and time of my last drink. And so this happened to be Baccalaureate Sunday. There was a group of guys that hung out in my high school called the Dirty Dozen Plus One. I was the plus one. We were a bunch of athletes, jocks, and I was student body president, and I had a master key to every lock at the school because they trusted me for It was the 70s. They would never do that now. Trust me, they would never do that now. But I helped kind of sponsor some crazy antics that year. But anyway, this particular day, Baccalaureate Sunday, I was supposed to sing this solo in my church choir that night, which I'll get to that in a second. But what happened Baccalaureate Sunday, my friend Bobby, one of the guys in this group, his dad had stopped drinking. And what his dad had done was he had packed up all the booze in his bar in the house, put it in boxes, and put the boxes in the garage. And my friend Bobby's dad was spending a lot of time in the garage. And he didn't want to do that. So he paid us all $20 a piece to get rid of this booze. That was the deal. So, 1976, $20 a piece. How hard could it be? What could possibly go wrong? So, and and that wasn't like I had never been around alcohol before. I mean, I'd been to lots of parties. I just didn't drink. But for some reason, this sounded like a good idea. I was going to get paid. Couldn't take that long. There's 12 other people besides me. So I said, okay. So I told my parents I was going to be home in time to sing at the church. My church youth group started at 5:45 on Sunday night at La Puente Foursquare Church. Going to sing my Andre Crouch solo, You Ain't Livin'. I was ready. Went to Bobby's house, had my first drink, Crown Royal. Everything freaking changed. I'd never tasted alcohol before. My first, and I remember like it was yesterday. I talk about it right now. I'm like, it's that deal. That's how I know I'm an alcoholic too, because of that. But my first drink was Crown Royal. It was awesome. My hope, everything changed. My body changed. I was taller. I was better looking. It was good. My second drink was some Michelob beer. That was my second drink. My third drink was some Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill. We have a lot in common. So, and that's kind of how my drinking career kind of went, right? So it got bad fast. I drank a lot that day, and we got rid of all the booze. I got paid. I passed out. I puked. I came to. There was this roaring party going on, and what I know about this after that, what happened was pretty much was told to me because I was a blackout drinker from the jump. So I do remember calling my parents to tell them I was going to be late coming home. I was going to be late, and I made that call at 3 a.m. So, yeah, that was my first time drinking. That's my first time drinking. So I don't know if I was born an alcoholic, but I do know that an alcoholic was born that day. I had what they talk about in the book about the phenomenon of craving that I did not understand later. That is the big differentiator between alcoholics and heavy drinkers or regular drinkers or periodic drinkers or normal drinkers. Alcoholics are the only ones that have the phenomenon of craving. And what that means to me, and to the doctor's opinion, if you don't know about it, read it. It's awesome. It's in the book. Is that once I have a drink in my body, once I have introduced alcohol to this body, I do not ingest alcohol like normal people. I just don't. I'm missing some enzyme, whatever the hell it is. I don't ingest alcohol like normal people. Once I put alcohol in this body, it says more. And it's on. No matter what. Normal people don't have that. And it may not happen right away, just for the drill. Because I've tested this theory. I did. I tested it a lot. So I used to say that I was a chronic relapser. Because when I got introduced to the program in a treatment center, I'll get to that in a second, but I thought I relapsed a lot. And the truth is, I never really stopped drinking. I mean, I had periods of time between drinks, but I was always planning it. And, that's the deal. So first drink happened. That first drunk happened. Total remorse, total shame ball. Never going to do that again. It's horrible. Please don't remember me like this, is what I said to people. They told me, I was very concerned about what people thought about me. And, I was, student body president and Eagle Scout and sang in the church choir. And I'm going to UCLA on a full ride for a track scholarship. I'm awesome. I'm not a drunk. I'm not an idiot. I'm not a jerk. And I was when I drank. So I went from this golden child and with this great opportunity, went to school, and then I had this string of bad luck that just started to happen. My luck it got bad. I'd never been arrested before. I'd never gone to jail before. I didn't do any, and it started happening a lot when I drank. I drank and I drove my car all the time. So I don't often introduce myself as a drunk driver, but when I think about my anniversary and I think about my whole story, that is a big part of what I did. And one of the people I talked to today, my friend Coco from Santa Cruz, she was a bus driver for 30 years in Santa Cruz, and she drove drunk. And she was a drunk driver, and she drove her bus drunk. And she's the one who reminded me, Jerry, you're a drunk driver like me. And I think about that. I mean, when you have an anniversary, I think about that stuff. And I'm very, very grateful that today I'm not a drunk driver. And I don't have to worry about that. I mean, I have a driver's license in my name, and insurance when I have a car that runs. So what happened after that is like all this string of bad luck. I just couldn't keep it together. I got kicked out of school. Actually, that's a lie. So the truth is, I was asked to leave. I was given the option to leave. So somebody corrected me that one day, and it's just a thing that comes out of my mouth. I got kicked out of school. No, I didn't get kicked out of school. I was selling a lot of this illicit drug at UCLA when I was at school, and I was on a track scholarship. And so what happened was they didn't like that. They gave me an option to either go to jail or leave school and my scholarship behind, my transcript behind, and I could start over someplace else. Those were my choices. I did not get kicked out of school. I made a very smart choice and said, thank you very much, I will leave. But for a long time, I ran on that fact I got kicked out of school because I was victimized, because I was, trying to just make it through. And I'm black, and they're out to get me, and it's your fault. And yada, 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 yada. So I'll fast forward a little bit. I got 18 minutes. I'm going to do this. It's going to be great. It's going to be right on time. So I got kicked out of school. I left school, left UCLA, had a series of different jobs, moved to the Bay Area from LA. I was a stockbroker now, and I'm working in this industry, and I'm making a lot of money, and I'm sleeping in my car because I got asked to leave my apartment by my landlords who owned a bunch of apartment buildings, and they were also my biggest clients, my biggest stockbroker clients. So that was tough. That was crunchy. That was very crunchy. So I started sleeping in my car after I got caught sleeping in my office. I would go drinking after work with all my buddies, and I would get so drunk I couldn't really drive. So I would sleep in my office because I couldn't go home to an apartment that I didn't have anymore. So, and no one knew that I was doing that. I was sleeping in my office. Stockbrokers, the workday starts at 6 a.m. People would walk in the office and go, Jerry's camping in his office. What's up? So I would use the excuse, I got too drunk to drive last night, just stayed here, it was safe. So you can use that excuse one time. You can't use that excuse every day. So I started setting an alarm and getting up and either sleeping in my car down the street from my office. But I showered in the basement of my office. There was a locker room, so I showered there, had my clothes dry cleaned. I kept everything in my trunk of my car. I got all my mail at the office. I got all my calls at the office. And that's what I did for a while. And I saw my shrink, too. I was seeing the shrink because I was crazy. So I'm getting ready to go to jail for driving while my license is suspended with 17 priors, 14601.1A. My third DUI, and possession of a controlled substance. So I went to San Mateo County Court, and they said, you're going to jail, work for a low. We're going to give you that option because you have a job, so we'll let you keep your job, but you would be paying rent to the jail. And I said, okay. So I'm still working at the stock brokerage office while I'm in jail. And so I have this car that I drive with no license to drive it, that I park on the other side of the freeway from this jail in Redwood City, California. And I worked in Burlingame. So my routine when I was doing the work furlough was I would get in my car at 5:45, drive to Palm Liquors in San Mateo, on El Camino and 22nd. They opened at 5:45 every morning. They opened up at 5:45. I knew exactly when they opened. I bought a six-pack of beer at 5:45 in the morning and would drive to my office and drink that six-pack of beer in about 20 minutes. And I'd start my job. And then I would get off work. And then I would do whatever after work. I'd sometimes go to happy hour and drink with my buddies after work. And then get in my car. I had a license to drive. I'm a drunk driver. Drive my car to this parking lot, right across from the work furlough facility, walk my little happy butt into jail, do it all again the next day. Rinse and repeat. That's what I did for a year. I never got caught. And I saw a shrink every week. And one day the shrink asked me, how much do you drink? And I said, that's not why I'm here. I was seeing this therapist. I was seeing the shrink because I literally thought I had a dual personality disorder. I thought that I was schizophrenic. I thought I had a serious mental illness. I could not possibly be able to have a professional job like I did. And I did really well in my job, obviously, because I kept the job for a long time. I was in the industry for a while. And have this other part of my life that's completely a mess. So clearly, I have a dual personality. Clearly, I'm nuts. So how much I drink really is irrelevant. I'm just crazy. So he kept asking that question from time to time, and I would occasionally give him glimpses of the truth. The book talks about psychologists, I think in the 12 by 12, they have a very low opinion of us because we're not very honest. And that's kind of very true. That was my experience. So, but one day, I don't know why, he asked me how much I drank, and I told him the truth. I told him about my routine, the work furlough stuff, what I did. I told him this particular day how much I drank at lunch, a couple of carafes of wine at the fish market, and did that, and then I went to happy hour with my friends, and then I started drinking after happy hour. I was like, wait a minute. So you've had a six-pack of beer, 2 carafes of wine, a bunch of other cocktails and stuff during happy hour, and then you start drinking. I said, yeah. Because when you start drinking, what do you drink? I don't know, Long Island iced teas with Stoli Backs. That's what I drank. That when I was drinking, that was my drink. Long Island iced tea, Stoli Back. I had someplace to be. And I don't like to wait for my stuff. I got someplace to be right now. That's how I drank. And then I would get in the car and I would drive. And I also remember that I know this, I'm an alcoholic and I have other issues with chemicals that have white marching powder kind of stuff. I did a lot of that. I had to drink the way that I drank. There was no way humanly possible for me to drink the way that I drank without chemical help that I had. I had to have chemical help to drink the way that I drank. And so I did every drug that I did alcoholically. So I'm under your umbrella here. I want to talk about alcohol. That's the loophole. So I told my shrink the truth. He asked me if I thought I was an alcoholic after this whole inventory and stuff, and I said no. I'm not. Everybody I know drinks like this. I have a great job. I have a really nice car. My therapist chimed in that you sleep in. I'm just between places, man. I'm not really, homeless, sleeping in my car. It's just a bad patch right now. Just having some bad luck. It's gonna turn around. And I didn't understand that I was homeless until I was 5 years sober, telling my story in Atlanta at this meeting, and it hit me like, holy shit. If you're sleeping in your car if you get your mail where you work, if you get all the phone calls for your life at work, you're homeless, dude. That's the deal. And I was 5 years sober till I got that. I really believed that I was just between places, and I was just like, whatever, man. Straight up homeless. And so I made a bet with my therapist, like all alcoholics do, because he offended me. He challenged me, and I said, dude, I'll prove to you that I'm not an alcoholic. I'll go 30 days without drinking. A month, whole month. I don't know what it is about alcoholics, that magical, mystical 30-day number. So we made the bet on a Friday. He goes like, so what happens if you don't drink? I go, if I don't drink, which I won't drink, then, we'll continue to focus on my dual personality disorder in these sessions that we have. He goes, what happens if you drink? What if I win and you lose and you drink? What do I get? I don't know. What do you want? So that's why I tell you what. I'll maybe try out one of those treatment places you drop hints about every now and again. I'll check out one of those if I lose. So I made the bet on a Friday. He wanted to see me the following Monday. I used to see him every Friday for a year, but he wanted to see me Monday after this agreement was made. And so I saw him Monday, and he asked me if I drank, and I said, of course. I thought the bet started today. There's no way I'm going to not drink on a Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock. You kidding me? So then he asked me if I was a welcher on top of being an alcoholic, potentially. Then that really made me mad. So what we did that day was I called treatment centers. That was what we did from his office that day. So this is what we do. So I called some treatment centers. And so I called Betty Ford. It was my first call I made from that office, because I thought that's where all the cool people went. I'm kind of a rock star, cool dude in my head, and I should go where they go. So I go to Betty Ford. So I'm on the phone talking to these guys. Hi, my name is Jerry. I'm in my therapist's office. I lost a bet. I might be an alcoholic. Maybe. Do you take my insurance? And they're like howling on the other end of the phone. Like, oh my God. So no, they didn't take my insurance. But so I made a bunch of calls like that. And finally there was a place I called in Oakland, Merit Peralta Institute, that said, they were really slick. They said, you might not be an alcoholic. We have this assessment that we do with people, and so if you indeed are an alcoholic, we do take your insurance, and we actually have a couple of beds here. So would you like to come in and do your assessment? You can come in today. And I said, I got some stuff I got to take care of. I got some loose ends to tie up. I'll get back to you. And my therapist was like looking at me like all sideways, like, dude, really? So I wasn't ready. This was in May. I finally made it into that treatment center in July. And that's where I was introduced to AA. Was in a treatment center in Oakland in 1988. I did not stay sober. But what I did get from that was a great education and insight into the disease of alcoholism. I was introduced to some really amazing people, and I went to meetings. That's the one thing that I did. My roommate in treatment was this guy who was strung out on prescription drugs. He was a stuntman who did this thing in San Francisco and broke both of his legs. He was on all kinds of new stuff. So his name was Dave. And Dave and I were driving my car after we got out of treatment to aftercare at MPI on the freeway in my car that I have no license to drive still. And we're going and Dave says to me, Jerry, you're not an alcoholic. You're a dope fiend. You're an addict like me. I said, yeah, what's your point? That means we could go to this microbrewery before aftercare and have a burger and a beer and then go to that. And I said, okay, cool. Sounds good to me. So that started me going to meetings, talking about how great it was to be sober when I was drunk. I did that for a long time. I picked up chips at meetings for attendance, not for continuous sobriety. I talk about that a lot. I went to meetings in Santa Cruz, and I will never forget, I picked up a 90-day chip at an AA meeting, and I was so drunk I couldn't hardly stand up, and no one said I couldn't have the chip. I drank at meetings. I drank during meetings. I drank at meetings. I'm an alcoholic going to meetings, drinking at meetings. Who does that? I did. And so when I'm in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and there's a drunk person in the room, I am so grateful. It's like God is in the room. I am so grateful. Where else is an alcoholic supposed to be? In an AA meeting. I showed up all the time. No one told me I couldn't have that. So then I got done. So here's the story. So I'm at this men's meeting I went to in Santa Cruz called Roxas, called the Old White Men Meeting in Henry, because there was a guy named Henry and then me. And this guy, Fireman John, told me I could stop raising my hands, and I continued to relapse and come back in. I said, why? Because you have to come in before you can go out. I was constantly going out. I get 30 days, I get 45 days, I get 60 days, I get 90 days, but I was continually drinking. And so he goes, Jerry, those aren't relapses. You're still drinking. In order to have a relapse, you have to have a lapse. You have to stop. So that means planning, scheming, other stuff you're doing besides alcohol. So, and I got done, and it happened to be on a New Year's Eve, and I had this kid at the time, with my, crackhead, running buddy, ex-prostitute girlfriend, and I'm at this New Year's Eve party in the Bay Area, and I always said if I ever had a kid, my kid would never see me get loaded, and Kyle at the time was 6 weeks old. He was born November 6th, and it's New Year's Eve. And it's 9:45 to 10, 9:45 is what it was. 9:45, I have a couple of shots in me, a couple of lines of the other stuff in me, and I look at my kid's on my lap, and his mom is in some other room doing her thing. And I looked at my kid, and I looked at the table, and I looked at the clock, and I said, I'm done. And I was going to meetings the whole time. So that's when the wheels just came off. Happened to be New Year's Eve. Just happened to be New Year's Eve. And I got done. And I'm so grateful. I talked to Kyle today. He's 27. Found out when he was 3, he wasn't my kid, but he's still my kid. So I have a lot of gratitude for my sobriety and my life. I don't get cocky about this because I've been doing this a while, and I know how easy it is to forget that what I have is a gift from God. I talk about grace a lot when I tell my story, because that's what it is. It's unmerited favor. I don't do anything that I deserve what I have. My sobriety is not a gift that I gave to myself. Happy anniversary, Jerry. What a great gift you gave yourself when you stopped drinking. That did not, No, I'm a hope-to-die alcoholic dope fiend. I don't know how to stop when I start. I can't. So, and I tried for many years to stop, and I couldn't stop. I have 1 minute and 26 seconds left. So, I sponsor people. I have a sponsor. Grace is how I stay here, and not taking a drink. There's a great line in Living Sober. It talks about treatment for alcohol primarily consists of not taking a drink. It's good advice. So if you're new or near new, retread or whatever, this thing works. Stay here. So much easier to stay here than it is to get here. It's a line we hear a lot here, but it's so freaking true. So much easier to stay here than it is to get here. No matter how hard it gets, keep coming. I'm a testament to that. I kept coming. I never stopped coming since treatment. And I came in all shapes and sizes and forms and different levels of, condition. And no one kicked me out. I was loved and tolerated in here. People tolerated the hell out of me and loved me to death, and they still do. So that's my theme: love and service, love and tolerance. We don't shoot our wounded here, and I'm very grateful that you guys are here. I couldn't have done it without you. 3, 2, 1, done.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Sobercast is ad-free, and we'd like your help in order to keep it that way. So if you'd like to help us be self-supporting by pledging $1 or $2 a month, visit Sobercast.com and look for the donate links. Thank you very much.